يعطيكم العافية. نكفي الانترودكشن to nervous system. هاي 8B كنا واصلين نحن للإكسترا شيت رقم 7. هيدي 8B. هلا فرجيكم بعد شوي على 8A. Classification of nerves according to function. Nerves can be classified in sensory nerve, motor nerve, mixed nerve. Sensory nerve like optic nerve, olfactory nerve. olfactory يعني شمي. auditory nerve سمعي. and other nerve. Motor nerve that carries مش comes nerve message from example from medulla oblongata to heart. Mixed nerve like all spinal nerve. Definition la sensory nerve. It's a nerve which has or consists of sensory nerve fibers and only sensory nerve fibers. It conducts nerve message from the sensory receptor into a nerve center. In definition مثل السنسوري نيورون بدل نيرف تحطي بدل نيورون تحطي نيرف. Example optic nerve العصب البصري that carries nerve message from eye receptor into nerve center. nerve center من هو هون البرين. وين بالبرين؟ cerebrum. وين بالcerebrum؟ بالvisual center so that you can see. Motor nerve. It's a motor nerve which is composed or consists of only motor nerve fibers. It conducts nerve message from the nerve center towards the effector. هذا الإكزامبل. Mixed nerve. Mixed nerve really it is composed of both types of nerve fiber, sensory and motor. في بقلبه نوعين من النيرف fiber, sensory nerve fiber and motor nerve fiber, and can play the role of sensory and motor nerve at the same time, but not of the same fibers, because it contains two different functional nerve fibers, sensory nerve fibers and motor nerve fibers. What is a sensory organ or sensory receptor? A sensory receptor is a specialized organ or tissue which is when excited by a certain stimulus, it will create an action potential or a sensory nerve impulse. This nerve impulse is called sensory nerve impulse. Then يعني مش تابع للدefinition لكن شو بصير بعدين؟ Then it will be transmitted via sensory pathway يعني via sensory nerve fibers into nerve center. Example, eye is a sensory organ or receptor which, when excited by light, it will generate a nerve message or nerve impulse. Then, via optic nerve, it's transmitted into nerve center. Which nerve center? Brain. In the cerebrum, and cerebrum in the brain. Where in the cerebrum? In the visual center. Eight A. Here we have 8A. What do you have here? هذا sensory nerve. Example, optic nerve. It carries the nerve message from the eye, which is the receptor here, when it is stimulated or excited by light, transmitted via sensory nerve fibers. هو sensory nerve fiber لوين into nerve center. Which nerve center? Brain. Which part of the brain? Cerebrum. Only understand the example, but understand also, or you must know what's a sensory nerve. Sensory nerve. It's composed of sensory nerve fibers. Motor nerve carries the nerve message from the nerve center towards the effector. Example, facial nerve. Facial يعني أحد أعصاب الوجه. Carries the nerve message from medulla oblongata into the salivary glands in the mouth. These are the motor nerve fiber only. These are sensory nerve fibers only in the sensory nerve. Motor nerve fibers only in the motor nerve. A mixed nerve really consists of sensory nerve fibers and motor nerve fibers. Two different pathways and two different functional nerve fibers, sensory and motor. The sensory nerve fibers carry the nerve messages from the receptor like skin, for example, when excited by heat, transmitted on the nerve center, for example, spinal cord, while motor nerve fibers here, not here, here, carry the nerve message or messages, conduct the nerve messages from the nerve center, spinal cord, for example, into the effector, for example, skeletal muscle, show response on contraction. All spinal nerves, as I told you before, there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves. All of them are mixed nerves. Why they are called mixed? Because they contain both sensory nerve fibers and motor nerve fibers. Also, we can classify the nerves into autonomic, and others يعني somatic بتكتب be somatic. Autonomic nerves can be classified, which are really motor nerve on motor nerve. Why the motor nerve? Autonomic nerves are really motor nerves, classified into parasympathetic nerves and sympathetic nerves. كاتب لك هون PN SN. PN parasympathetic nerves and SN sympathetic nerves. Both of them are motor، مش واحد sensory واحد motor. هون في example بسيط. هون only understand. Okay? من هون لهون. Only understand. Not more. Here we have the parasympathetic nerve carries the nerve message from the motor, from the nerve center, here the medulla oblongata, into the heart. Sympathetic nerve carries the nerve message from the spinal cord into the heart. هون مكتوب one certain parasympathetic nerve بيقولوا له X nerve. X nerve يعني 10th cranial nerve. 10th يعني العصب العاشر is excited. It leads to a decrease of cardiac rhythm, deceleration of what? Deceleration of heartbeats. When sympathetic nerve is excited, It leads to increase of cardiac rhythm, acceleration of heart beats. Only important here, stimuli here, هذا part, هذا important. What is a stimulus? A stimulus is a change in energy that may provoke a change in function of a cell. A stimulus, any cell can be stimulated or excited. Here, if we, for example, neuron, muscle cell, any other cell can be excited. For example, a neuron, when a neuron is excited or stimulated effectively, كلمة excited إلى synonym or meaning اللي هي stimulated effectively and effective stimulation. It will lead to generation and creation of nerve impulse. Nerve impulse هون قصده هون action potential وبعدين بتصير nerve impulse. When a muscle is excited, it will respond by contraction. When a glandular cell is excited, it will secrete certain substances. هيدي صفحة 10 اللي مرقت قبل منها 9. Types of stimuli كمان important according to nature of stimuli, according to their nature or type. What could be? Could be mechanical, could be chemical, could be electrical, could be thermal, could be physiological or natural. Mechanical stimulus like what؟ يعني إذا بدك يعني الإثارة الميكانيكية مثل شو؟ بريك وخز، بريس، ضغط، بل سحب أو جر، هيت يعني ضرب، شوك صدم، stretch شد. Any other like يعني look like these stimuli are of mechanical nature are called mechanical stimuli or stimuli. Chemical. If the nature is chemical, for example, perfume يعني قدر رائحة مادة كيماوية dilute HCl etc. Electrical. That is an electrical current, for example, a battery of 6 volt or 10 volt can be used as a stimulator of a cell. Thermal شيء حراري مش معناتها heat. Could be heat, could be cold or ice. For example, ice here could be fire. Hot water, on cold water, ice. These two, heat and cold, are both of thermal type or thermal nature. Physiological or nature, a nervous impulse that propagate across the neuron, for example, into the effector, which is naturally propagating in the neurons in your body in vivo. Others حطهم في receptor هون شو ممكن يكون stimulus. The receptor is eye. The stimulus which excites the eye is what? Is the light. The ear, sound vibrations. Nose, what excites the nose? Odor, perfume, which is chemical here. And here it is mechanical. Light, it is could be photochemical is what or light wave. Skin, for example, pressure, touch, etc. مش بين قوسين touch. No, شيلي بين قوسين. Pressure or touch can excite skin. And other types. Tongue, food substance, which is here of chemical nature. The food substance which could be sour يعني حامض, bitter, مر, salty, مالح, sweet, حلو. A stimulus can be, هذا very important. هون لهون لهون صفحة 10 من هون لهون. A stimulus can be depending whether it is effective or ineffective. A stimulus is said to be effective يعتبر مسمى excitant. يا بتقولي effective stimulus يا بتقولي excitant T-A-N-T. If شرط شو if it provokes يعني creates or leads to a response. For example, in a neuron, it creates a nerve impulse or action potential. In a muscle, it leads to contraction. In a gland, leads to secretion. If the stimulus will not create an action potential, it is not effective, it is ineffective. If it does not lead to muscle contraction, it is ineffective. Its intensity I is greater than or Ti. Should I intensity of stimulus? Should Ti threshold intensity? Threshold intensity. طيب. Definition للthreshold intensity هلا بعد شوي بقلكم إياها. Ineffective stimulus فإذا هو ممكن يكون effective أو ممكن يكون ineffective. A stimulus is said to be ineffective simply if it does not lead to a response. يعني ال I less than Ti مش less than or equal no. بينما هون إذا كنت بدها تكون effective should be greater than or equal Ti. Its intensity is less than Ti. Ti, what is it? هذا definition. It could be on definition. Ti, it is the minimum intensity, الحد الأدنى من قوة الstimulus needed of a stimulus to trigger يعني create يطلق an action potential or response. Below this intensity, below this value, it is considered ineffective. وبالتالي no response is created. صفحة 11. What is an effector? An organ or tissue is said to be an effector when it has a certain response upon receiving a motor nerve message via or from motor pathway. Example, when a skeletal muscle receives a motor nerve message, it will respond by contraction. When a gland or a mucous gland, for example, receives a motor nerve message or nerve impulse, it will respond by secretion. Secretion of what here, as the example here, mucous gland, the secretion is mucus. What is a nerve center? Nerve center إذا بدك إن موجودين بالCNS, brain and spinal cord. The brain is a nerve center, main nerve center, and spinal cord is a main nerve center. But in the brain there are nerve centers, center for vision, center for audition, center for olfaction, smelling, center for touching, sensing, center for pressure, center for many things. What is its role and location? A nerve center is responsible for receiving certain nervous information, sensory or other. Sensory and sensory messages coming from sensory receptors, others and from messages coming from other nerve centers located in the CNS, brain, or spinal cord, and or. Then, after treatment of this nervous information or these nervous information, it will elaborate a nerve message into motor neuron. By integration and treatment of nerve message could be, or integration or treatment of nerve message could be by attenuation of sensory nerve message. The nerve message could be attenuated يعني weakened تتضاعف يعني بتكون high frequency بتصير low frequency for example, or stabilization of sensory nerve message, or stabilize without change, or by amplification of sensory message تضخيم يعني enlargement, or blocking and stopping of sensory nerve message inhibition. The resultant nerve message will be sent as a motor nerve message. Look here, a support diagram. For example, this is the nerve center, and these are afferent nerve messages. Afferent يعني sensory, many. If it is attenuated, the frequency will be lesser. If it is amplified, the frequency will be greater here. If it is stabilized, the frequency remains the same here and here. If the nerve messages are blocked here, the frequency is zero. مش nothing, بنقول zero. خلينا نقول مثلا هون في عندك frequency high frequency. إذا صارت low هيدا attenuation. إذا هون high صارت higher، نقول مثلا 2 4 6 6 action potentials per unit time. صارت مثلا هون 10، هون amplified. The same ضلت هون مثلا 6 وهون 6 stabilized. هون 6 وهون 0 blocked. Okay, this is what do you mean by integration and the treatment of nerve message. We will move into chapter 9. Functions of neurons. The nervous system receives continuous flow of measurable electrical signals that from the nerve that form the nerve messages or impulses. The genesis, yani generation or creation, and the transmission of the messages takes place in the nerve cells or neurons. Yani, what are the two physiological properties of neurons? The two physiological properties of neurons are the two physiological properties of neurons are excitability, and that is creation of nerve impulse or action potential when excited. 9, conductibility, that is the transmission of the nerve message across the neuron and from neuron to another neuron or from neuron into effector. As I'm برجع the two physiological properties of neurons are excitability إذا بدك نجزئها بس تكتب كلمة واحدة. 2, conductibility. The large number of neurons, about 100 billion cells, renders the nerve system a complex communication network. شبكة معقدة من النيورونات أكثر من 100 مليار خلية that assure rapidity, adequacy, and integration of appropriate message. This is a colored real photo of neurons and how they are interconnected and communicated. هذا cell body, هذا axon, dendrites, etc. These are hundreds of neurons. What can we study here? What is the questions that must be answered? We will study the resting potential in document 1. يعني, what is a resting potential or resting membrane potential or membrane potential? And what is its origin and how can be maintained? As a definition, what is a resting potential? The origin of resting potential and how can be maintained. كيف نحافظ على resting membrane potential. هذا اللي بناخده بالdocument 1. Resting potential. The potential difference that exists between inside and outside the membrane of a non-stimulated neuron is called resting potential or membrane potential or resting membrane potential. هلا بنوضح كيف. The question is also what is the origin of this potential? And how it is maintained. First of all, how can we prove that there is a resting membrane potential? To prove the presence of a resting potential, recordings are obtained on a giant axon. And axon, giant axon, for example, axon taken from, or nerve fiber taken from a squid حبار. الأكسون كثير عريض ما بينشاف بالعين المجردة لكن أعرض من غيره. diameter له أكبر. So it can be easily treated in lab. Of a neuron using microelectrodes connected to a sensitive galvanometer or an oscilloscope. هون إذا استعملنا galvanometer بتكتبي هون G يعني galvanometer. What's a galvanometer? A galvanometer is an electrical device which measures potential difference, PD, potential difference between 2 points. عم نحكي فيزياء. If you put the 2 electrodes here of the galvanometer أو حتى voltmeter, both of them are on the surface. The needle here will show or will point 0 millivolt. There is no potential difference. This means that there is no potential difference on the surface. They could be of the same potential. However, if you put one electrode inside and one outside, the needle will deflect here to the left. تلحق left on. Left. It could be on minus 70 millivolt. It will record minus 70 millivolt, which is for a mammalian axon, or even for a giant axon like that of squid. Okay. فإذا طيب سؤال آخر. If the 2 electrodes here are put inside, not outside, يعني هذا 1 هذا 2. الحالة الثالثة إذا 2 هن هو جوا. The needle points what does it record? It records also 0 millivolt. ليش 0 millivolt? Because the inside means here of the same potential, no potential difference. Here we have potential difference. As we will see after some time that there is the potential difference here. This means that the potential on the surface differs as compared to the potential inside. And you will see that the outside is positively charged, يعني positive potential برا, positive potential. جوا negatively charged, يعني negative potential. ليش هون حطينا minus? Because the needle here records here minus 70 millivolt. It records the amount or the value of voltage inside the axon. Insert into a giant axon of a squid, حبار أو صبيدش، نوع من الحيوانات البحرية تشبه الأخطبوط شوي. A glass microelectrode which contains KCl، مش ضروري تعرفي المعلومة، with a very thin tip having a diameter less than 0.05 micrometer، مش مهم، in order not to damage the membrane. عم بقول لك هون المقصود فيها إن very thin needle. This microelectrode very small يعني is connected to a plate at the top of the oscilloscope. هلا عم نستعمل oscilloscope. Continue. This microelectrode is connected to a plate at the top of the oscilloscope, while at the bottom of the oscilloscope, the other electrode is connected to a plate immersed in physiological solution, seawater, that surround the nerve fiber. بتصحح هون مكتوب هون recording electrode هون وهون recording electrode. هذا خطأ، بتكتبي هون reference. سويها هون، سويها هاي reference، تكتبي reference electrode. Continue. إذن هيدا reference electrode، هيدا recording. الأوسيلوسكوب اللي بتعرفوا له 2 إلكترود، هيدا recording electrode وهيدا reference electrode. هيدا sea water يعني so that the giant axon put here in a proper or normal medium, which is the sea water where the squid is really living, to be as in nature in normal cases. Here, when the external microelectrode, يعني recording electrode, is put at the outside or in the surface, zero, the potential difference here is zero, no potential difference. However, the insertion of the microelectrode into the inside of the axon, مثل هون, whenever it is inserted, here, a line here, straight line like a column, on vertical straight line, here, and records what? 970, home could be minus, home plus, عفوا, home minus, home minus, home for plus. يعني هون هي الخانة كلها minus، بتكون الماينس يعني إذا بدك negative potential. إذن home minus 70 millivolt. And then a resting potential here, it is recorded here. And then once inserted, the needle deflect and records what? Minus 70 millivolt. This means that the inside of the axon is negatively charged. For this reason, we put here minus. That is, the inside of the axon is negatively charged as compared to the outside, which is positively charged, as you will see after some time. هاي صفحة 12 الإكسترا شيت. What do we have here? طلع بهون بهي الصورة. At rest, هذا axon or nerve fiber. Here the external medium, extracellular medium, and outside the cell. Here intracellular, يعني interior، هاي بيقولوا له exterior، من برا exterior، exterior interior exterior. There are positive charges that predominate on the surface and the outside. Okay, and here what do we have inside here? We have negative charges that predominate inside. Predominate, and most of the charges here are anions, مش cations. Most of the charges here are cations. At rest here, the sodium ions, for example, diffuses from outside toward inside, from a region or a medium of high concentration to a medium of low concentration, while K plus diffuses in opposite direction, from the interior toward the exterior, from the intracellular medium towards the extracellular medium. يعني high concentration للK plus هو بالinside, lower concentration للK plus هو بالoutside. عشان هيك أنا حاطط حرف كبير وحرف صغير، حرف كبير وحرف صغير. As you will see later, when it is excited, the neuron or axon, the rest potential is no more maintained. Here we have a change in potential. We will not speak about it now. We'll speak about it in document 2. بيعنينا هون هلا. فإذا in this case هون an axon or a neuron or a nerve fiber is polarized. تكتب بيهم. Axon or nerve fiber or neuron here is polarized. What do you mean by polarized? تكتب a neuron or axon or nerve fiber, when it is polarized, this means that there are positive charges on the surface and negative charges in the interior. Yeah, positive charges predominate outside and negative charges predominate inside. Here, what do we have here? We have a resting membrane potential. يعني the potential recorded here at rest. يعني at rest يعني not excited, not excited. شو بصير when excited؟ مثل ما قلت لك نحكي عنها بعدين. هون يعني صورة general. On stimulus, the I greater than or Ti, an action potential is created. نحكي عنها بعدين إن شاء الله. And a nerve impulse is created and generated here from the point of stimulation away from cell body towards axon, towards terminal arborization. On nerve impulse transmitted from one neuron to another via synapses. ناخدها بعدين. بس عم فرجيكم كيف بيصير في excitability and conductibility. فإذا excitability, creation of an action potential, and conductibility, conduction of the nerve message across the neuron or from neuron into another neuron or from neuron into an effector. Could be here an effector. يعني عم نرجع نأكد الصورة المساعدة ل physiological properties of neurons, excitability and conductibility. On excitability and creation of action potential. Conductibility, that is the transmission of the nerve impulse across the neuron from one point to another, reaching the terminal arborization. And from one neuron into another neuron via synapses. صفحة 13A. Definition تاني مرة للreceptor is a specialized organ or tissue that can be excited by a certain excitant and creates a sensory nerve impulse which will be sent into sensory neuron or sensory nerve fiber. Example, when we prick a skin, prick, وخز, by a needle, soon a sensory nerve impulse is created into sensory neuron and then reaching the spinal cord, the nerve center. في فاكتور ديفينيشن تاني مرة هولي يعني ديفينيشن مكرر لأنه كنا عاطينهم قبل مرة ورجعنا عطيناهم تاني مرة بعضهم نوت يعني ما نغير النوت مرات بس بيمرقوا عنا أكثر من مرة. هون a living or fresh neuron has a rest potential in human and the resting membrane potential minus 70 millivolt. A dead neuron has no potential difference 0 millivolt. إذا بتحطي إذا بدك الجلفانوميتر أو بتحطي oscilloscope بسجل لك قديش 0 millivolt no potential difference. As long as the neuron at rest, the resting potential is maintained, that is polarized. مثل البطارية. An axon here at rest طلع هون. هذا axon at rest صورة مرة تاني. هذا positive potential وهذا negative potential. cross section مقصود فيه الانتيريور. هذا membrane وهذا membrane. صورة مش كتير واضحة. هذا axon. سويها هيك شوي. هون. سويها. هيك. نفس الشيء هون. اوكي. هي بعد شوي بناخدها. هي بعد شوي بناخدها. مالي هيك انت هون. هلا بنمحيهم. هي بعد شوي بناخدها. origin of resting potential. نرجع بنأكد على resting potential. الديفينيشن هي هون. الديفينيشن. The potential difference that exists between the inside and interior and the outside and the exterior, the surface يعني, of the membrane of a non-stimulated يعني at rest neuron is called resting potential or membrane potential or membrane resting potential or resting membrane potential like a battery. طلع battery عندها two electrodes, positive electrode and negative electrode. يعني هذا represents the outside إذا بدك بالنسبة للممبرين. هذا الأكسون عنده positive charges of the surface. Positive. Negative charges inside. Okay, like a battery. This is called resting membrane potential. نيجي لهون. What is the origin of resting membrane potential? The plasma membrane of the neuron separates two liquid compartments, the extracellular medium and the intracellular medium, whose ionic composition is represented in block D. خلي هون بالدوك D. هون نعمل clear. هون Look here. Here we have a marine animal واحد and a mammal اثنين. Mammal, for example, human. For example, mouse. For example, sheep. For example, monkey. يعني axon of a marine animal like squid, حبار, and an axon of human. شو بدك بدو؟ خلينا ناخذ ال1 مثلا. طلع هون الكلورايد ايونز ملي مول بير لتر، هون 50، هون 560، يعني هون ريتش، هون بور. اوكي، بلس ايون، هون 400، هون 20، يعني هون بور، هون ريتش. انا بلس بالعكس، هون 440، هون 50، يعني هون ريتش، هون بور. في مبدأ بنعرفه نحن، بتاخدوه بالفيزياء وبتاخدوه بالكيمياء وبناخده بالطبيعيات، وهو طلع هون هون البيج، 13 بي. diffusion of a substance and transport occurs from a region of high concentration into a region of low concentration. That is following the concentration gradient, concentration value. يعني diffusion of a substance occurs from a region of high concentration where the concentration of substance, for example, Na plus is rich, into a region of low concentration where the concentration here is low, that is poor. دائما تسرب بصير من المنطقة الغنية للمنطقة الفقيرة. That is diffuses from the exterior لأنه على طول Na plus rich outside بينما poor inside. Diffuse from the exterior into the interior, from the extracellular medium into the intracellular medium across the semi-permeable living membrane. قدوش يكون dead. If there is dead cell or dead membrane, or the cell membrane is dead, is no more semi-permeable, and diffusion occurs in both sides, from the outside toward inside and from the inside toward the outside. While K plus diffuses in opposite direction. من وين يعني؟ من inside towards outside. This type of diffusion is called passive transport. transport. يعني باختصار Na plus inflow من وين؟ من الاكستيريور للانتيريور، inflow تسرب إلى الداخل. بينما ال K plus diffuses from the interior بالعكس تماما to the exterior، هذا بسموه outflow. Remarks: electrical neutrality or ionic equilibrium, يعني the number of positive charges at both sides of the membrane, outside and inside, is never reached in a living cell due to the active Na plus حطي هون K plus Na plus شحطة هون هيك K plus pump which restores the initial state. هلا بنحكي عنها بعد شوي. Where Na plus is pumped outside the cell and K plus pumped يعني into the inside of the cell by active transport. هذا اسمه passive، هذا هون اسمه active. ليش سموه active؟ لا against، يعني شو يعني against؟ يعني opposite to concentration gradient. thus keeping potential difference at both sides of the semi-permeable membrane, يعني positive potential on the surface and negative potential in the interior. Hence, maintaining resting potential at minus 70 millivolt. هذه minus 70 millivolt. شو هي الصوديوم بوتاسيوم بامب؟ بنحكي عنها بعد شوي. أرجع عيد. Electrical neutrality. Electrical neutrality يعني or ionic equilibrium. We have here potential difference مثل ما قلنا من شوي هون Na plus is rich outside and poor inside. K plus rich inside and poor outside. Outside شو? Outside the cell or outside the cell membrane, outside the axon here. هذا outside, هذا inside, هذا outside. It is here maintained in this case as long as it is the axon here as at rest. And how it is maintained, we'll speak about it after some time. What we mean by sodium potassium pump. ما حكيتش عنها بحكي عنها بعد شوي. فإذا potential here potential difference here is maintained in this case as long as the axon is at rest. Look here, as I told you, where the concentration of Cl minus, K plus, Na plus, some of them are rich, some of them are poor. مثل ما قلنا هون Cl minus, هون rich, هون poor, K plus, هون rich, هون poor, Na plus, هون rich, هون poor. The same for compartment for example 2 اللي هو الماما. نفس الطريقة بس عم بياخد أني ال 1 1 2 2 نفس الشيء نفس الأسلوب بس عم بياخد مثل واحد. The question is how Na plus diffuses from a region of high concentration, which is the extracellular medium, to where flowing into the intracellular medium across the semi-permeable membrane. بينما ال K plus diffuses from an intracellular medium inside, where the medium is rich with K plus, into the extracellular medium where the medium is poor. Cl minus diffuses also from outside towards inside. Okay. هذا هون رسم رمزي بفرجيك هون في K plus و Cl minus و Na plus Cl minus here and here M semi-permeable membrane. هذا يمثل هون ال outside وهذا يمثل هون inside. Na plus diffuses in this direction from outside towards inside. K plus diffuses from in this direction from inside towards outside. Cl minus diffuses in this direction from outside towards inside. هذا في خطأ هون ما فينا ناخده، هذا في إشكالية. هون ما توجع راسك بالتفاصيل اللي هون لأنه في أشياء مش مظبوطة مش دقيقة. أوكي بكفي اللي قلت لك إياهم هون. وهلا بنحكي عن how the resting membrane potential is maintained. كيف ال resting potential is maintained. هيدا كله هون acquire knowledge. هي الصفحة كلها صفحة 184. رح نبلش. As the concentration of Na plus is higher in the extracellular medium, as I told you, than the in intracellular medium, and inversely for K plus. Yeah, K plus is high concentration inside and lower concentration outside. The ions diffuse in small quantities through the membrane. If the diffusion continues, the internal and external medium will have the same concentration. إذا بضل على طول Na plus diffuses from outside toward inside and K plus from inside toward outside. And after some time, we will have same concentration. This is really, however, this state of electrical neutrality, يعني إذا بدك الحيادية الكهربائية, is never reached is in a living cell. مثل ما قلت لك شوي ما بتصير هاي بالليفينج سيل، ما بتصير. إذا بضل أنا مكمل لجوا والكي بلس يكمل أو الأنا بلس يتسرب لجوا والكي بلس يتسرب لبرا، بصيروا after some time the concentration of Na plus inside and outside are the same. K plus, Na plus and K plus will be at both sides of the membrane will be the same inside and outside. This will not happen. Why? هلا بعد شوي رح نشوف. In order to understand the mechanism responsible for maintaining the membrane potential, the following experiment is performed. An isolated axon of a squid is placed in seawater with a radioactive sodium. حطوا بالأكسون هيدا السكويد للحبار بالسي ووتر وبالاكسترنال ميديوم يعني بالسي ووتر حطوا ايزوتوب اوف صوديوم which is radioactive. الصوديوم هو N8 الاتوميك ماس 23 هون 24 يعني so that we can follow its trace. ليش بنستعمل radioactive substance? To follow its path or trace and also the fate مصيره. Added to measure to the flow of Na plus ion. The dinitrophenol is first added to the medium which blocks the metabolism of inhibiting phosphorylation of ADP into ATP. هلا بوضح بعد شوي. في مادة اسمها DMP. الDMP تمنع مادة تانية اسمها ADP لتتحول ل ATP. شو ال ATP وشو ال ATP هلا بعد شوي بنوضح. A gradual decrease in the outflow of Na plus is observed until it stops completely. فإذا شو عمل ال DMP؟ عمل شو؟ decrease of outflow، يمنع إذا بدك يعني خروج ال Na plus مرة تانية لبرا. outflow يعني diffusion from inside toward outside until it stops completely، يعني blocks the outflow of Na plus. طيب ATP is then provided. إذا رجعنا أعطينا مادة ال ATP adenosine triphosphate، هذا اسمه adenosine diphosphate. is provided to the axon which is يعني given again, which is still under the effect of DMP. Na plus ions are observed to flow out again. فإذا بنرجع بنعطي ATP للخلية شو بصير؟ بصير ترجع ال Na plus تعمل outflow بعد ما هي عملت كانت inflow بصير تعمل هون outflow. DMP شو عمل؟ منع ال outflow. The same results are obtained with the flow of K plus 1 radioactive potassium. إذا استعملنا radioactive potassium نفس الطريقة نحصل عليها، نفس الأسلوب، بس ما تنسي إنه ال K plus هو diffuses from inside towards the outside. أوكي؟ فإذا بنستعمل K plus radioactive K plus إذا واستعملنا نفس الإكسبيرمنت بصير بيمنع إذا بدك ال inflow of K plus يعني ليرجعه مطرح ما كان. In a living cell, the ionic equilibrium is never reached. Ionic equilibrium يعني same concentration of Na plus and K plus and other ions is never reached in a living cell. In a dead cell, it is reached. Because the mechanism of that pumps the sodium ions from the actively inside to the outside, from the actively inside to the outside of the cell, and allows the penetration of K plus against the concentration gradient. فإذا في شيء بسموه صوديوم بوتاسيوم بامب، هلا بنحكي عنها. هي صوديوم بوتاسيوم بامب بترجع صوديوم لبرا بتفوت وترجع الكي بلس لجوا. اوكي ارجع عيد. originally at rest شو بصير؟ Na plus diffuses from outside toward inside. K plus diffuses from inside toward the outside. If this is continued, ionic equilibrium will be reached, but this is really will not happen. How can we maintaining the resting membrane potential? By the mechanism of sodium potassium pump. The sodium potassium pump will return Na plus from the outside from the inside to the outside مش النفايات ولا جوا ترجع الطيران لبر. والكي بلس اللي هو عم يتسرب من برا لجوا بيرجع بيتفوت الكي بلس لجوا مثل الشادوف. شو يعني الشادوف؟ الفراعنة قديما كانوا يستعملوا شيء مثل الدولاب في بقلبه اسطولة بيعبوا مي من النهر وبضخوها على الأقنية. لما بينزل السطل بيغرف لما بيبرم الدولاب بيندلق السطل يعني بيفتح مثل بيحطوها في بعض المنتزهات وهيك إذا بدك يعني الحدائق مثل منظر الدولاب يبرم في بقلب الصولة لما بينزل بيغرف السطل لما بيرجع بيبرم بفضي. هيك الصوديوم بوتاسيوم بامب بتشتغل بهالطريقة. فإذا صوديوم بوتاسيوم بامب شو بتعمل؟ It pumps the sodium from the inside to the outside and pumps the K plus from the outside toward inside. يعني ليش بيسموه against concentration gradient؟ لأنه by active transport. ليش؟ لأنه it pumps the sodium from a medium of low concentration جوا into the medium of high concentration لبرا بعكس ال concentration value بعكس ال concentration gradient. وال K plus ions are pumped from the outside toward the inside from a medium of low concentration into a medium of high concentration بعكس ال passive diffusion اللي هو from higher concentration to the lower concentration. This system of active transport where the energy is required in the form of adenosine triphosphate is called sodium potassium ATPase or sodium potassium pump. قلت لك من شوي بعد شوي بقول لك انه شو معنات ADP و ATP. ADP ادينوسين مادة الادينوسين داي فوس يعني اثنين فوسفات يعني ادينوسين معلق فيها 2 مولكيول اوف فوسفات مع بي. فاذا هون 2 بي مع بي شو بصير؟ ادينوسين ترايفوسفات يعني ادينوسين معلق فيها 3 فوسفات. هاي العملية اللي بتعتبر synthesis of ATP اسمها phosphorylation. phosphorylation يعني عملية إذا بدك addition of phosphate. اوكي هون عملنا addition of phosphate. العكس تماما بيقولوا لها hydrolysis يعني breakdown of ATP into ADP plus P. هون adenosine diphosphate ينفصل عنا 1P and energy is released. What is ATP? ATP is synthesized and stored in the mitochondria of cells. اوكي إذا بنحط ADP مع P مع energy مع DNP مثل ما عملنا من شوي no phosphorylation of ADP into ATP مثل ما قلنا من شوي. هذا support الدوك جي and doc F page 184. ATP is the energy form required for Na plus K plus pump to act. فإذا أنا أعطيتكم فكرة عن ال ATP أعطيتكم فكرة عن ال ADP and what is called phosphorylation and what's called synthesis and hydrolysis. اوكي هي بترجعوا بتقروها تاني مرة بصير تفهموها أكثر. حكيت عنها من شوي. هذا رسم رمزي للصوديوم بوتاسيوم بامب، وفرجيك أيضا كيف بيصير في active transport وكيف بيكون في بالأساس passive transport by diffusion. As you know, by passive transport K plus diffuses from outside toward inside. يعني هيدا هون HC يعني high concentration، هون LC lower concentration. K plus diffuses from inside toward the outside. If this is continued with time, if this is continued with time, electrical neutrality here will be the same on both sides of the cell membrane. Okay, هون بصير ال Na plus وال K plus قد بعض، وهون Na plus وال K plus قد بعض. Cl minus diffuses from outside toward inside in small amounts, very slight diffusion. قليل مش لأنه because the membrane here is semi-permeable membrane. It could be on semi-permeable membrane. فإذا if this is continued here, ionic equilibrium or electrical neutrality is reached here in a living cell, but it is impossible to occur. Why? Because what we call here sodium potassium pump، مثل مكنة، مثل مروحة، مثل ما قلت لك، مثل الشادوف. اوكي، ليك شو بتعمل؟ هاي عندها في عندك two kinds of molecules بقلبها X و Y، حول conformational protein molecules، يعني البروتين بيتغير شكله. كيف هول البروتينات؟ هون شو بتعمل هاي؟ when it moves in this way، شايفة؟ it pumps again K plus to the inside، ما هو ظهر لبرا بترجعه لجوا. ال Na plus اللي ظهر لبرا، عفوا اللي فات لجوا، بترجع شو بتعمل ال Na plus؟ بتطلعه لبرا. فإذا it pumps Na plus to the outside and pumps K plus to the inside. يعني بهالطريقة شو بصير في؟ إذا بتطلع على الأكسون هون بضل في potential difference، بضل positive potential outside predominate، negative potential predominate inside. Why يعني why or how this is maintained؟ يعني the resting membrane potential due to sodium potassium pump. هي اسمها الصوديوم، عشان هيك بتضخ الصوديوم لبرا وبتضخ الكي بلس لجوا. سموها العلماء صوديوم بوتاسيوم بامب. ترانسبورت بهالحالة ما بسموه passive، بسموه active، لأنه pumps the sodium from the inside which is of low concentration to the outside which is of high concentration. K plus pumped from the outside which is of low concentration to the inside which is of high concentration. Okay, نرجع لهون. هذا اللي حكى عنه هو هي الصوديوم بوتاسيوم. بالسبورت فيديوز رح ابعث لكم سبورت فيديو ل صوديوم بوتاسيوم بامب بتشوفيها، بتشوفي الفيديو تفهميها اكثر. البرنسبل كمان هون اكواير نولج كله، هون كله اكواير نولج. الصفحه 184 كلها اكواير نولج. The principle of this pump is illustrated in Doc H. The protein molecule Y is called transporter, carries the Na plus from the internal side of the membrane inside toward the outside. Once outside, Na plus detaches from Y. This molecule undergoes conformational change. الواي بتغير شكلها وبتصير شكلها X، يعني هي بذاتها الواي، أو الواي هي الموليكول، بروتين موليكول، بتغير شكلها بتصير X. شو بتصير تعمل؟ بتحمل K plus from the external side of the membrane toward the inside, from the outside toward the inside. At this stage, the transporter X is detached from K plus and takes back the initial form Y. ترجع X بترجع بتصير Y تغير شكلها بتصير y، ترجع الواي بعد شوي بتغير شكلها بتصير x that attaches again to an a plus, and this process continued with time. This conformational change from x to y requires energy. Energy نحصل عليها واسطة ال ATP. هيدا المولكول x وهيدا المولكول y. الواي بتتحول بتصير x، و مثل ما قلنا بتصير العملية هون وبتصير القصة كلها. فإذا ال ATP أصلا كيف نحصل عليه؟ عندي جلوكوز مع O2 by oxidation reaction. cellular oxidation شو هي؟ O2 جلوكوز C6H12O6 مع O2 بيعطيك H2O CO2 and ATP. كل جرام من الجلوكوز بيعطيك 17 كيلو جول. هلا هون الانرجي here in the form of a chemical هي adenosine triphosphate، يعني ادينوسين معلق فيها 3 فوسفات. That's all about this lesson. I know it is not simple. It's somehow complicated, somehow complex. مش صعب بس مش عليكم، مش على تلاميذ علوم الحياة شعبيات بيقدروا يفهموا. في بعد شغلة أخيرة، في سبورت فيديو لما نعرض على التي ريستنج بوتنشال، نعرض ببعث لكم لينك اللي له شوفوه، طلع كتير حلو. وإذا ما لقيتوه أنا بعث لكم إياه مسجله، أنا فيني بعته بالسبورت فيديو. بكل الأحوال بعث لكم إياه سبورت فيديو. يعني السبورت فيديو اللي بدي ابعتهم فيهم شي 2 3 طوال شوي. يعني في مثل ما قلت لك ريستنج بوتنشال مشروح بطريقة معينة على التي ال، كان موجود على اليوتيوب. ريستنج بوتنشال بعتقد ما بعرف 23 آذار، أنا مش حافظ التاريخ، بس بعت لكم اللينك وببعت لكم إياه كمان له لأنه أنا مسجل. هيدا كل شيء اللي بتذكره about document. أكثر من ذلك إنه الأسئلة على الدوكيومنت 1 اللي هو الصوديوم بوتاسيوم بامب أو ليل، يعني بتلاقي دورة أو دورتين مش أكتر عليهم. وبرجع بدلكم على الدورات، أي دورات اللي فيهم هذا النوع من الفروع من الأسئلة، لحتى تكونوا تتأقلموا شوي مع هذا النوع من الأسئلة. هل هو very important يعني؟ No, important but not very important. That's all about it. Thank you. Bye.